Hey, welcome back. We are going to dive into another Unhook Yourself, episode from the series because there's so many things that we bind ourselves to, that we align ourselves with, that if we would just give ourselves the freedom of release, the moment we do that, growth happens. God reveals things, and that true freedom of what's next is available. Listen in. Hi, friend. I am so excited that you're here to check out Her Restored Spirit podcast. If you've gone through something that has left you broken-spirited, maybe it's a divorce, loss of a spouse, or even a child, loss of a job, whatever it is, I know there is restoration in your future. I'm a widowed mom, and I remember what it feels like to emerge from the fog to discover that my loss is not the center of my story, but it actually instilled in me a new hope, a new understanding of faith, and a new strengthening in my heart, soul, and motherhood. I have finally understood that God has taken my test and formed it into my testimony, and that's why I'm here with you. I want you to step into your purpose, into a newfound joy, and to turn a new page in your book, because I believe you are on the brink of full restoration, unlocking a confidence that you didn't know was inside you, and understanding how to live more fruitfully with purpose, joy, and permission to be washed in possibility. It's time, friend, to reclaim your restored spirit. Hey, welcome back to Her Restored Spirit podcast. My name is Tammy, and I'm your host. And I am continuing the series today of unhooking yourself. Today, we're going to talk about unhooking yourself from the past. So many times we get so stuck in the past stories, the past circumstances, the past trials, the past things that we've done, the things that were done to us, the decisions that we made, the things that we learned in the past, the way we saw the world, those paradigms and things, we get an idea in our head and it kind of concretes in. Something happens and we've decided that's what's going to shape us for the rest of our lives. And know that I'm not saying forget the past, which is interesting because I was looking up verses about this. And in Isaiah 43, 18 through 19, it says, "But forget all that. It is nothing compared to what I'm going to do. For I'm about to do a new thing. See, I have already begun. Do you see it? Do you not see it? I will make a pathway through the wilderness. I will create rivers in a dry wasteland." So even though I was, we don't want to forget the past, but even in the Bible, God says, forget all that. Forget all of the things that have happened in the past. Like, I'm doing something new. I am doing something now. Don't you see it? Don't you perceive it? And it kind of shifted my thoughts a little bit because I don't like telling people what to do in particular. Like, well, if you're a friend, if you're one of my kids, there's times I'm bossy. I'm an Enneagram 1. What can I say? But overall, like in my coaching, it's not my decision. Like, it's not for me to tell you what to do. It's to bring to light what you really want and what you need. And so I was thinking about this and I was realizing, like, we all have moments that we're not proud of. We all have these moments we didn't make the best decisions. We all have these ideas, these things. And again, remember, some of our thoughts, some of our old stories were put in our brains before the age of 5, before we even realized they were there. Some of these paradigms, some of these ideas of how we're supposed to operate. Some of these, and I was listening to my son talk about how he's just not good at public speaking. And I laugh a little bit in my head because all through high school, I was terrified of it and I did it very little. I would do what I could to get out of public speaking, and God has a way of laughing because now that's kind of what I do for a living. And I love getting up in front of an audience and speaking. And I think part of it is because I really feel strong about what I share and why I share it. But I was talking to him and I was like, well, what was your thought process there, that you're really bad at public speaking, that you don't like it? He's like, yeah, I'm just bad at it. I don't like it. It's like, okay, well, that's a choice. What happened to make you bad at it? And it come to find out he didn't prepare properly. I was like, well, so was it public speaking's fault that was it you getting up? Because how did your classmates react? And they're like, well, they didn't say anything. They weren't mean about it. Like, did they ostracize you? Did they criticize you? And it was like, no. It's like, so you felt unprepared. He's like, yes. I was like, so you didn't like the experience because you were unprepared. Yes. Well, but he decided that that experience was going to taint the rest of his life. He is never going to. Okay, for 15-year-olds, he's 15 now. I guarantee there's going to be one time in your life, at least, where you're going to have to get up and speak. And in fact, this next coming week, he's actually doing debate where he's got to get up and he's speaking for a long period of time, and then he has to listen, and then he has to have the rebuttal and everything. So there's times, but his memory now, his decision is I'm not good at it. I hate public speaking. And so many times things in our past decide that for us. So many times that one thing that happens in our past, and we have painted that picture of what now we will believe. How many times and really, like, I like going back to the whole like what how God works in my life. And I've talked with enough of you to know that this is kind of like some of you, he works in your lives this way too, where things that you don't like to do, things that are challenging for you, are things that keep coming up. It's almost like he highlights that, and it means something different to you during that experience, because he's like, I want you to prepare, because I'm equipping you. I'm equipping you. I'm equipping you. But if I would have decided, like, no, I am not public speaking, I am never doing that. If I didn't look at things now, if I didn't take those steps, if I didn't unhook myself from those old stories and see them with new eyes and new perspective, and recognize that, like, well, it didn't kill me doing it. It may have hurt in the moment. It may have been nerve wracking. And yeah, I still get nervous when I public speak. I'm not going to lie. And I choose to, it's anticipation, it's excitement. It's nervous sighted, that little bit nervous, but really excited about what's about to happen. And the idea here is when we look and we make those old stories, we give them all the power in our future and in our present, then we never get to grow into who God's creating us to be. Look at those things. Like I talked recently about that, God highlighting things, because it's so funny. And I'm playing with this idea, but he does, like, you and I don't notice the same exact things. There may be, like, some things that we notice, but overall it's our experience. It's kind of how he works in our heart. It's how we are, the things that we go through. It's the challenges and circumstances that we go through, or think themes that keep coming up, that even with my best friends in the same town, we don't see the same things. And I believe that's God, like, whispering into you, like, pay attention. This is for you. And if we don't unhook ourselves from the past, if we don't look at those stories and decide what we want to do with them now, and or even look at them and say, okay, what was God teaching me through all of those? And if we allow our past decisions, and notice here, I didn't say past mistakes, because so many times there are decisions we made that we were not aware that there were going to be mistakes. Even if we had an inkling, even if we were self-sabotaging. I don't know what spoke to me. It wasn't my phone. Interesting. Okay, someone's sorry. Even if it was something that we chose, there was a reason why we did. So we got to give ourselves some grace for those. So even if we allow our past decisions to decide our future choices, what are we going to miss out on? How have we grown? I'm not that 15-year-old girl getting up and trying to do Shakespeare, a Shakespeare scene in front of my entire ninth grade class or 10th grade class. Every year. We had Shakespeare Festival every year and had to do that. But I'm not that same girl. I was even talking to Kyle, my guy, and we were talking about the fact that the Heaven's Day is coming up. And it's really cool how I can sit and I can talk to him about Heaven's Day and how, because we've come to the understanding that because of what I've gone through, he's in love with the woman I am now. If I didn't go through all that, we probably would not be together. Like the things that he loves about me are things that I've grown and I've stepped into based on experiences and circumstances and life choices and my desires and my vision and my dreams and my prayers. And the same with him as well. We talked about it because he's had his own traumas and he's had his own life stories. But if we didn't allow growth, if we stayed stuck, hooked to our past, and I know many of you who are listening have stories that you're holding on to out of fear because of what it will mean, what that growth, because it hurts to grow or you don't want to forget. And I'm promising you, you won't forget the important parts. You won't forget those moments that changed you. You won't. You won't forget those little things that mean so much and that you want to hold on to. But by holding on to that past so tightly, you're saying no thank you to what's possible in the future. You're saying no thank you to what God has called you to. You're saying no thank you to healing and growth and recognizing that those things that you don't want to forget are the things that are going to propel you and create that future that you're dying to have, that desire, that love, that vision, that those dreams, that that future that you're worthy of having. And I know for some of you that's really hard to hear. But we have to unhook ourselves. Allow the past to be the past. Allow the future to come in and make those new decisions and decide, like, look at the strengths that you have. And there's so many of you, I know that you don't actually look at the strengths. You're so focused on the past mistakes, those past decisions, those past the weaknesses. But those weaknesses are guideposts that keep us humble. Those weaknesses are ways that we can ask for help. The strengths are where we can serve. Those are our time, talent, and treasures. These are the areas that God has blessed us with, those strengths, and we need to embrace them. We need to gather them together and we need to decide that past is no longer going to decide this for me. I will use that information from the past because we'd be crazy not to. I know that God says, forget all of that. But I think that's really like, don't let that hold you back. That you're a new creature now. You're a new woman now. I am not the same woman I was the day before my husband died. And this last couple of weeks has been like, I've had a lot of emotions and it's different every year. And this year is different because I have someone new in my life who I adore. And I still miss my husband. I still miss D and I see him so much in my children. But if I did not unhook myself, allow that to control me, then I would not be where I am today. I would not be able to say that I understand when Job says the latter is better than the former. And I have another verse, Job 17:9. The righteous keep moving forward, and those with clean hands become stronger and stronger. And another translation, I heard those with a pure heart, good motives. We stay connected to Jesus, then we become stronger and stronger. So those things that are holding us back or held us back in the past, don't have to hold us back anymore. And that is why we unhook ourselves from the past. We unhook ourselves to where we can see it, but it's not controlling us anymore. It's not that binding where we can't grow. We let it go. And I don't know why this just came to mind, but the whole like Titanic scene where Rose is like letting Jack go, like she never forgot him, but you just see him like drift off and I don't know why that came to my mind, but I think it's because it can be easy. It can be just it can be gentle and you don't have to do it all at once. Like it can be a slow growth, a slow fade. Like you can allow it to slowly unhook. The key is to do it. The key is to give yourself that freedom because discovering who you are, it's discovering who you are now. We look back at our values. We look back at our priorities. We look back at the decisions we made. We look back because we can see our weaknesses and we can see our strengths in that. So when we unhook ourselves and we allow ourselves to review that from a standpoint of like grace and gratitude, gratitude. I am thankful for the things that I went through because I am not the person I was then, but I became stronger and stronger because of it. It can be a gentle thing. It's not a cut off, forget, push aside. You can release your grip while you pick up something else. You can put them together. You get to move to the direction that you get to go where you want to go. You can go where God's leading you. And I know that there's so much there. We feel guilty, we feel shameful, we feel like it's when we start to grow, or like there's something that like the past like grips us, right? And there's something there, but understand why. Get curious about why is the past holding on to us so hard? What are we scared of in the future? What do we not trust about ourselves or about God to see, to show us the way? And I just want to encourage you. I want to read these two verses. Philippians 3:12 through 14. It says, I don't mean to say that I have already achieved these things or that I've already reached perfection, but I press on to possess that perfection for which Christ Jesus first possessed me. No, dear brothers and sisters, I have not achieved it, but I focus on one thing, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. I press on each at the end of the race I press on to reach the end of the race and receive the heavenly prize for which God, through Christ Jesus, is calling us. Press on, go run the race. Run the race. If that means that you had to stop and take a breather and you want to get back on and run now, get on that path and know that you're not alone. You're not running by yourself. And then Proverbs 24:25 through 27. I want to leave you with this. It says, look straight ahead and fix your eyes on what lies before you. Mark out a straight path for your feet. Stay on the safe path and don't get sidetracked. Keep your feet from following evil. And though it's interesting because we don't know what our straight path looks like. We just have to keep going. But what it says is don't allow those old decisions like to derail you. Go the right way. Go forward. Keep moving no matter what. And release yourself from those old mistakes and old decisions and give yourself those grace for because those mistakes that you made, you didn't know what you didn't know. So friend, I want to encourage you today to unhook yourself from the past. Set your mind on the future, on this new that God is creating in you and of you. And see that as much as my past has played a part in my future, I get to decide as much as you do. If it works for me, it works for you. So with that, like what thing has God laid on your heart and said, hey, if you release this to me, I'll show you something new. I'll show you a new way. What part is God calling you to set down? And if you do, and you discover that new attitude, that new part of you that wants to grow, like celebrate that and let me know, because I want to celebrate it with you. With this, I have a money mindset workshop coming up on Thursday. It is not your mama's workshop. Okay. This is an interactive. I know you're like, well, money mindset, I don't want to work on that. But if you have habits, overspending, overeating, over drinking, over anything, or underspending, like saving too much out of fear. If you have fear, what I want this to do is to open your mind, open your eyes up to what becomes possible when we start to explore our own thoughts. And a one way that we can do this is through money, because we all have money stories. We all have, we want to be comfortable. Well, what does that even mean? We want to have enough. What does that even mean? We want to trust God with it. What does that even mean? So go onto my website and sign up for this. It's free workshop. This will be the last time, the only time I do this workshop for free. It is a really good workshop. It is a really, these questions are ones that I've asked myself, I've asked my clients, I've asked my friends, I've done before in other events and things. And even if you think you have your money stories under control, come anyway and see what becomes possible and get excited, because it's going to be freeing. It's not to condemn you. It's not to make you feel like you're not saving enough. It is to say, like, let's remove those bonds. Let's unhook ourselves from the past decisions we've made or those past stories, and let's create something new. So I would love to see you in there. So go to my website. It's on the show notes. Come and let's see what's possible. With that, choose joy until joy chooses you. Bye.